Good morning. Welcome to the forecast discussion for January 3rd, 2013. I gotta get used to saying that. It is currently 8:10 a.m. and temperatures are, well, very, very cold, especially considering what we've been dealing with over the past couple of weeks. We are certainly in a much colder air mass, much colder weather pattern. So yes, winter is here. How cold is it? Well, over portions of Connecticut, we're in the single digits to lower teens right along the coast. Same thing in the Hudson River Valley and northeastern Pennsylvania as well. Northwestern New Jersey, we're in the mid to upper teens. And right along the coast, we're in the upper teens to mid 20s. So clearly, we are in a rather chilly air mass, that is for sure. It's also a very dry air mass with winds from the northwest around 5 miles per hour, at times kicking up to 10 miles per hour, leading to a wind chill right now in the single digits to mid teens. By this afternoon, you'll feel more like the mid 20s to upper 20s as temperatures struggle in the lower to mid 30s. Over the interior, will struggle in the mid to upper 20s. So yes, we are very cold. When we take a look at the latest radar, you can see we do have a few snow flares here trying to develop off of the Great Lakes, and we have a little disturbance trying to move through the central Great Lakes. These disturbances will produce the threat for a flurry, but that's about it. Otherwise, scattered cloud cover can be expected with cold conditions. You can even see that northwesterly wind in the mid-levels with the way that the radar is setting up with the precipitation bands here, trying to develop off of the Great Lakes. Could be a little bit of lake effect snow development off of Lake Ontario later on. But other than that, it's going to be pretty quiet over the northern Atlantic for the next couple of days. Taking a look at the latest infrared satellite picture, you can clearly see the setup here. We have a boundary here. Now, this cold front boundary, if you really want to call it, is a separation between very cold Arctic air, like the single digits, to very cold polar air, like the mid to upper 20s. So this Arctic high pressure is going to be locking itself in over the next couple of days, producing tranquil weather conditions and then a gradual moderation in the air mass as we move through this weekend into early next week. Now, I'm a little bit slower than the model guidance as far as warming up this air mass. Arctic air masses do not tend to move very quickly, and they certainly do not warm up very quickly unless there's a strong warming influence, which we really don't have until later on next week. So I'm only expecting a slow moderation. Like, for example, today we're going to be in the mid-20s to lower 30s. By this weekend, mid to upper 30s over the interior, upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. Earlier forecasts had temperatures pushing up into the mid to upper 40s by this weekend, and I stayed below that, and it looks like that's going to pan out nicely as this air mass is not leaving us very quickly. And this typically happens with the models. They tend to drive cold air masses in too fast and tend to have them leave too fast. When you have a cold air mass like this, think of it like having maple syrup. Maple syrup does not clean up very easily and does not leave very easily, and that's basically the type of air mass that we're having here. Is a maple syrup air mass type of consistency here, where it will not leave very quickly at all. And by the way, this is the subtropical jet stream right here. Unfortunately, if you like snow, it hasn't been able to interact with the polar Arctic jet stream very well. So that's why we're pretty much dealing with this suppressed weather pattern as far as storm tracks and the potential for any type of snowfall. Taking a look at the latest European model guidance from the Penn State EWOL website, an excellent website for all your model needs. You can clearly see this evening we have high pressure in full control and plenty of cold air in place and very dry air as well. This pattern will remain in place through the rest of this week into the weekend with dry air in place. Notice we start to see that high pressure system start to reestablish itself off of the mid-Atlantic coast by Saturday evening, so that by Sunday we start to see a little bit more of a southwesterly flow starting to develop. We're still cold. There's no doubts about that. We're still chilly. We're still cold. Temperatures struggling in the upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. But towards the end of the forecast period, by Tuesday and Wednesday, we start to see a ridge try to build over the southeast. Now, I think the European model guidance is way too strong with this disturbance here. And so as a result, I think that the warm air advection, the warm air transport ahead of this storm is well overdone. I don't think we're going to see 50s and 60s next week, but I do think we'll be in the 40s with high pressure overhead. And we have to keep an eye on the way that this polar vortex starts to break down and shift, and the way that the polar slash Arctic jet stream is setting up. There is an awfully lot of cold air just sitting and waiting to drop south. And you really don't need much of a shift in the winds in the way that this boundary here is setting up here to keep us much colder than what the model guidance is suggesting. And the ensemble model guidance is trying to hint at this. So I think we have to keep an eye on this for next week. We might not actually be as warm as some of the models are projecting here, especially with this Arctic air mass. And later on in the forecast period, watch out, because this Arctic air mass right here, this is coming south. It may not be by January 10th, but a little bit beyond that, I would keep an eye on this air mass moving forward. Well, that is your forecast discussion for today. Of course, I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. You can follow the latest weather information at nynjpaweather.com and nynjpaweather on Twitter and Facebook. Have a wonderful day, and stay safe out there.